In the past few weeks, we have raised our voices countlessly on how Fidesz is using the coronavirus crisis to crumble Hungarian rule of law and the opposition instead of protecting the population from the pandemic. It is pretty difficult to explain the mechanism of the scheme without getting into too much details. However, the government's latest attack on the opposition is pretty straightforward. Let me introduce you Csaba Balogh, who is a young, talented politician of momentum and just recently got elected as a mayor of Gödöt, which is a small town with 20,000 inhabitants in the proximity of Budapest. Csaba now has to face the grim reality of losing a third of the town's revenue and a fifth of its territory just because the governments want to get revenge on the opposition.
The Samsung battery plant in Gödöt is a difficult issue. The Hungarian government gave the company all the support it needed, and even more, while locals of Gödöt were skeptical about this privileged status. After my election in October, I have built a better relationship with the top management of the Samsung plant and tried to ease the tension with the government, but it was not enough. Last week, the government has decided to create a so-called special economic zone. With this new measure, they annexed a fifth of Gödöt, where Samsung plant is located, meaning that the town will also lose 1/3 of its revenues. While the government said that there are economic reasons behind this decision, it is clear that this is another step towards the centralization. This recent decision sends the message: those who dare to elect an opposition politician to be their mayor will have to face serious consequences and Viktor Orbán's revenge. This is practically a death sentence. With the removal of the local business tax paid by the Samsung, 1/3 of the city's budget will be lost, which will jeopardize even the fulfillment of mandatory tasks. Our main problem is not only financial though. We have lost over 20% of our territory, where a giant chemical manufacturing campus is about to be built. They made it almost impossible to initiate a lawsuit against the construction, which is clearly damaging the environment. And the dangerous materials they are storing are deadly risk to the citizens nearby. These details were neglected by the Department of the Disaster Management.
We will not let this power grab stand. With our European allies, we will do everything we can to protect the rule of law, and specifically Gödöt from Viktor Orbán. Together with our parliamentary group, Renew Europe, we are turning to Commissioner for Justice Didier Reynders and Commission Vice President for Values and Transparency Vera Jourova. We believe that these measures would not pass the necessity and proportionality test, and this is the cornerstone of the rule of law. And also, we see no real indication for the government's decision other than to weaken the opposition mayor of Gödöt. We will also turn to the European Commission to examine whether state aid provided for Samsung was provided legally, and whether there are any further legal or economic problems with this project. As MEPs, we will do everything in our power to protect the interests of Gödöt, because this town belongs to its residents and not to Viktor Orbán.